So we are going to take these hexagons and we're going to make patterns in Illustrator. So it's pretty simple. Illustrator CC 2020 has a great pattern making feature. You're going to go to Window and we're going to open the pattern option window. So Window and then pattern options. This should open up, and right now I don't have anything selected, so there's nothing in here. So I need to take this selection tool and I have to select the hexagon that was made previously. And now that that's selected, I'm going to go to this menu up here. It's three little lines at the top. And we're going to say Make Pattern. It says a new pattern has been added to your swatches panel. Any changes will be made. Any changes made while in pattern editing mode will be applied to the swatch upon exit. I'm going to say OK. Alright, so this is a preview mode. It's taken me from the document, and now, because you can see this red line is everywhere, we're in the preview mode. And what you might want to do is zoom out and zoom in according to what you need. So to zoom out, we're doing View, Zoom Out, which is Control minus on a PC or Command minus on a Mac. So that kind of just helps me a little bit see what the pattern's going to look like from far away. Let's give this pattern a name. This is my complementary hexagon. And instead of having a grid, the tiles, let's change that to hex by column. So what's super awesome about Illustrator is that it gives you all these different tile types. So if you had a square pattern, you could actually use a grid and you could shift them according to a row or a column. So we're going to do the hex by column. I'm going to zoom in a little, and now you can see down here, copies, this refers to the preview that I'm looking at. If I want to see more of my pattern, I could do 7 by 7, and then I could see more of the pattern, how that's going to look. Dim copies, that just shows me my original, and then what the copies are dimmed. Sometimes it's easier to look at the pattern without dimmed copies, just so I can get a better view of the pattern. I could zoom in and just kind of see what that looks like. Show tile edge, show bounds. Okay, so I don't need to worry about those too much right now. Is there an overlap? Let's dim the copies again. This overlap refers to if your hexagon is having different overlaps, you can kind of do that, but this looks okay without. If you have a spacing issue, like you want to bring something in or out, you can go in here. Size tile to art. You could actually put in a -1, let's say, for instance. And that might change your, like, how the spacing is. Okay, so you notice that what happened was the hexagon actually is overlapping itself a little bit. What if I put a positive number in there, like 4? So now I have a gap. So this just, if your shape that you're working with isn't equilateral, meaning the sides aren't the same, this might be something that is helpful. And so I just want to show you that for the future of all your pattern making needs. Okay, and so at this point, in order for me to get out of this view, because I'm stuck in this preview mode, I need to say done up here. Don't forget that last step. And then you'll notice if your swatch window isn't there, you'll go to Window and you'll go to Swatches. So just as you can have a color in your swatches or a color library, you can also have a pattern as a swatch. And remember that swatches are applied to a fill or a stroke color. So say I make a shape. Let's make a big circle. I'm going to make a big circle here. And the fill is white. I could change that to any color as a swatch. I could also apply as a fill a pattern swatch. So this is the pattern that we just made. And I'm able to apply that as a fill. I can also switch it and apply it as a stroke. And let's see if we can even see it as a stroke. So I'm going to get the selection tool and click off of it. So you can kind of tell, right, this stroke has a pattern on it. Probably not going to use that very much in your life, but it is optional. It does exist. Some other little tips and tricks to pattern making. Let's go to Window, Appearance. I'm going to take this out. Appearance window. We can tell here that we have a stroke. So this is my circle. I select my circle. In order to tell the appearance of an object, your object has to be selected. So you need to get the selection tool and select your object, and then we can see this has no stroke and it has a fill, and this fill is we can look at it closer. You could tell it's the we can see our swatches there. Let's make this a little bigger so you can see it better. So I can change the fill through the appearance window. Why do I need the appearance window? Why don't I just use this? So the great thing about appearance window is that I could go here and I could go to opacity and I could bring it down. And then I could actually have more than one fill in one object. So I'm going to have fill selected. I'm going to press this, which means duplicate selected item. Now I have two fills. They're both the pattern. So let's make one fill a color. And this fill is underneath, right? The order, it's under the pattern one. So I could actually bring it on top, and you can see that it affects the appearance. This is remember, this opacity is not 100. So if this was 100, this fill is on top and this is on the bottom. So this one shows up, and then likewise, right? And then let's look at the opacity of this one, right? So I can change the opacity and kind of create some blending. If you happen to have a pattern that has no color, for instance, this hexagon has objects inside, but there is no fill color, so it has transparency. Let's make a pattern out of this. Window, pattern options, and I need to have this selected. I'm going to go to the menu. We're going to say make pattern. It's going to give me a preview. I'm in preview mode now. This is what it's going to look like. I need to go from grid to a column. And you'll notice that there's transparency. I can see through it because for fill I had none. So let's call this transparent hexagon. I'm going to say done. Now, let's go back to this object. This is my new pattern I just made. I'm going to take the selection tool. We're going to select this. Let's go to the appearance window, window appearance. And now I want to change this fill that has the pattern with the color, that like dark brown, reddish brown. Let's change that to the pattern, same pattern, right? This one has no fill. So if I hide, let's look. This is the transparent fill. Let's set it to 100, and you can see the gray of the workspace. So what's cool is if you have a transparent pattern, if there's transparency in your pattern, meaning if there's a place that has no fill, the fill is what is called none, which is this option here, none. You can have two fills, and then you're just changing the background color, which is pretty cool, right? So this allows you to kind of experiment a little more. So that is making patterns. How to make patterns. They show up in your swatches. I could go to my swatches now, make a folder. Let's call this pattern folder. And I can alter these colors. Let's get rid of those. And instead I'm going to take these swatches and I can put them actually in there. Okay.